All right, it's a happy Monday on Life Without Sports, and what a day it is. If the day ends in Y, that means Mike Pacheco and I are still bored.
That's right.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Welcome back to more pandemic programming.
yeah, but at least we have the Jordan documentary to talk about.
It's amazing how we all waited for this, like
Yeah,
lusting for this,
yeah,
devouring this
yeah,
material, like it was Game 7 of the World Series
yeah.
or, Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And I think it didn't disappoint. I've read a few things on social media today. Some people somehow felt like there'd be some new material or some enterprising work
Right,
or
right.
some really investigative work. But Mike,
Yeah,
what did they expect? We're talking, there's only so much you can do from 1997, 98. They had a treasure trove of material,
yeah.
and I think they did a really good job with it, at least thus far.
Well, I thought there were some things that did come out of it that may have been lesser known or not as well known. The cocaine traveling circus, I think, was an interesting line
That was your aha
early
moment.
on. Yeah, and I didn't realize. I mean, I knew that Jordan had hurt his foot. I didn't realize that he had gone back to Chapel Hill. I'd either forgotten that or didn't know
Neither did
that.
I. Yeah,
I thought that was pretty interesting.
it was.
It was the funny thing was I thought, I think everybody had heard the stories and knew that there was friction between Jerry Krause, but good Lord, was that man vilified? I mean, he was like public enemy. Unfortunately, he can't defend himself. He's no longer with us. But man, if he were alive, he would like he'd have to go into hiding. Public enemy number one today.
Well, I think it was he had one of those faces that was just you kind of looked at him and like, man, this guy's up to no good.
Yeah,
Like, what's he got?
yeah,
He looks like he just ate a shit sandwich or something. It was one of those things where you looked at him like, I don't really trust this guy.
yeah.
Even though he had a phenomenal basketball mind and a
Right.
baseball mind for that matter. I thought Jerry Reinsdorf, I think one of the quotes of the night was, oh, yeah, he just told me he wanted to be the GM, so I hired him.
Well,
Is
they'd
that
had
what
a
it
history.
takes?
He was a scout for the White Sox, and yes, you have to remember the times too, right? It's not today where analytics rules today. And actually, although I take that back, because maybe it's coming back full circle. But I mean, guys could be a little bit more than one dimensional and less specialized. And it did raise some eyebrows. There were some people, Louis Riddick, who's on ESPN. He said, "Oh, interesting. Somebody got hired for a GM job and didn't have any experience." Um, kind of
Yeah.
a moment as for hiring practices. But we digress. Um, I thought that was very interesting. And what I didn't know. I mean, you knew that there was a friction, but just the open hostility that Jordan and Pippen had toward Krause.
How about being on that bus and Pippen going
Yeah,
crazy on Krause
yeah,
throughout the ride?
yeah.
I can't imagine the cringeworthy
Boy,
moments. Like
that is
if you're sitting
just
there like you're Joe Klein or
uncomfortable. Yeah,
you're your backup or you're
yeah.
Luke Longley and you're
Right,
listening to this
right.
and you're thinking, boy, we have no chance. Scottie Pippen's angry. This thing's
Yeah,
going to unravel. I hope Jackson can keep it together, which he did.
yeah.
But it was just so much drama there that last year.
Well, and it was funny how layered it was, right? Because I mean, and I thought they told the story very well. I mean, he clearly had become, the second best. I mean, clearly the second best player on the Bulls, but he may have been the second best player in the NBA
Oh yeah, no,
in
he
those
probably
years.
was.
I mean, he'd really elevated his game, and so the backstory of taking that longer, it almost like he signed a Cleveland Indians baseball deal. He signed that longer contract to make sure that he had that income coming in because he had 12 other or 11 other family members he had to worry about, and two in wheelchairs. I mean, that's just gritty, heart wrenching type stuff. But and then Jerry Reinsdorf saying, I advised against that deal.
How many people have you worked for that said don't sign it?
Yeah,
Like, wouldn't that be refreshing if you went to a radio station GM and you heard that?
yeah,
And, Mike Kellogg said that to you once upon a time ago
yeah,
at
yeah,
WFNZ.
yeah,
Pacheco, don't sign that deal.
yeah. No, I don't think that was ever uttered, but I think I would have remembered that.
When that was a good aha moment too. Like, wait a minute, you said that, Jerry? You told him not
Yeah,
to sign the deal. You're the guy
yeah,
signing the check. I mean, this is obviously tilted in your favor, and you said don't sign it,
yeah,
Scotty. I think they also didn't see the handwriting too. If you're Pippen and your agent, you should have seen the riches coming to the NBA.
yeah. They didn't forecast that.
They
Because
didn't
it was
forecast.
a 7-year deal. I thought the other revelation not revelation, revelation was that some people were kind of surprised that Jerry Krause wanted to change the direction after, or actually he kind of wanted to change it in '97. They won. They had Tim Floyd hanging around, which was very very
invited
strange.
to his wedding.
Yeah, invited to his wedding.
Stepdaughter's wedding,
Yeah.
and Phil Jackson's invitation got lost.
Yeah, got lost.
Lost. Yeah.
But I think that comes on the heels, though, of just how quickly and how fast the Celtics got old. With Larry Bird getting hurt and breaking down, McHale and Parrish. And, I think there was a legitimate fear, not just in basketball and NBA circles, but I think kind of across all sports, people were starting to think, hey, wait a minute, we don't want that to happen to us.
Right.
And I think that was maybe a little bit of the friction was obviously maybe part of it, but I think also that fear that they didn't want to be holding the bag if these guys broke down. Now, the irony is they were a complete train wreck after that, but I mean, that's a whole nother story for another pandemic documentary series.
Yeah, which is, I'm sure, coming. Maybe it's the, we'll soon have the B.J. Armstrong years. I think there was a couple things too, just the pure competitiveness of Jordan that the younger generation, your kids, my kids, couldn't grasp that. It just doesn't exist. It exists on some levels today. LeBron James, I guess, some levels. Your superstars of the NBA, they're not. They're very competitive, but was there ever a more dynamic killer on the court than Michael Jordan? The answer is no. And that's something I heard Steve Kerr talk about today. Is like that what this documentary is capturing, just how intense he was and how demanding he was and how he could be such a difficult guy to play with because he had such high expectations where, Scott Burrell, who at that point was a one-year guy came over from the Hornets and he was getting all giddy about winning the Paris Invitational.
Yeah.
And Jordan shot him a look like, don't even think about celebrating this.
No, what he says, he told Phil to keep the trophy. Don't give it to Jerry.
Don't give
Jerry
it to
Krause.
Jerry. Right.
Wow. I mean, that was like, man. But, what's interesting, though, John, is everybody knew, and maybe most everybody that maybe wasn't a Bulls follower, including them, but my next point, maybe they had a better indication of where that competitiveness came from. But the fact that he had these, drag out, almost brawls in the backyard with his brother, that's where that competitiveness, it was instilled by his mom and dad, those games with his brother. And then, his parents, and this is a good lesson for all parents, right? When he did make the varsity after his sophomore year at Laney High School in Wilmington, that it wasn't like, oh, poor you, we'll find an AAU team for you. It was like, no, work your butt off. And he made so much improvement in that next year that they put him on the team, and within a year, he's being recruited by North Carolina.
Right. Yeah. And that I think that was fascinating too. The Roy Williams comments.
Yeah.
And I said he never. Some guys have an off button. He never had an off button, no matter what he was doing. I think that captured the way he was reared, and that captured what he was about. He could never turn it off. He always. There was only one game. There's only one cause for him, and that was winning.
Yeah.
That's it. And whatever he did.
Right.
He couldn't accept anybody who didn't have that same mindset. Baseball, he hit 200 in Double-A, but make no mistake, he still wanted to win that aspect of his athleticism.
No, but and if you talk to and I've talked to some of the White Sox people that were around, and they say he really had turned the corner late in that year in Birmingham, and had he stuck with it, I mean, had he stuck with it, who knows? It's. I don't know. I guess the closest you can equate it to is the Tebow experiment with the Mets, but I think Jordan was 100 times better than Tebow at baseball. And
Jordan still he drove in 51 runs. He didn't hit many hard, balls. On one hand, probably you could name the number of balls he hit hard.
But that's after
he
playing.
He would beat out a lot of hits.
But at that point, when was the last time he had picked up a baseball before that season? It wasn't like
high school.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I mean. Like it was a long time, and so to be able to just pick it up. I mean, baseball is probably one of the most difficult sports.
It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
I think it's the hardest thing to do in sports. Ted Williams said that 60 years ago, and he's still right.
Yeah.
Hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Right.
It's the fact that he did it with some modicum of success.
Yeah.
But that gives you an idea of his tenacity.
Right.
Just the pure. I love the cocaine.
Traveling circus.
Traveling circus. I'm thinking, all right, who was on that team? How many people around America Googled the '84 Bulls? Let's see.
But but it was
David
interesting.
Greenwood, Orlando Woolridge.
Yeah, but it was interesting too how he framed it. Right. I mean, looking for his teammates. They let him in, and it's like you had the lines over here, the weed guys over there, the girls over here. I mean, it's like wow.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of like a Charlotte Knights road trip.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or maybe a Winthrop road trip with Pacheco and Friedman.
Yeah, no, that's not a bearded car cast environment.
No, I would doubt it. Although you guys do get down and dirty at some barbecue establishments.
Oh, we do get down and dirty with some barbecue establishments. We eat well. Let's put it that way.
You make love to your barbecue plates.
Yeah, well, it's not just barbecue. We've gone to we did. Well, this wasn't actually. We didn't actually record any of this, but we went to in San Francisco. We went to a dim sum place.
Oh, did you go to the place in downtown? One of the forget the name. Apple something. It's called. It's one of the most famous places in San Francisco.
No, this was we and now sometimes we'll try the most famous place in town, but this was a Friedman family tradition.
Okay.
I forget what street, Dakota maybe. It was good. No, it was good. And then we went to an Asian fusion place that wasn't quite. It was on the other side of the bridge in Marin.
Oh boy,
San Francisco is fun.
That's your speed.
Yeah.
Marin. When I think Marin County, I think Mike Pacheco.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah. I got to work on my when I talk about San Francisco.
Paychecks.
I got to work on my Sean Connery from The Rock.
Oh, one of the underrated movies.
Yeah, great movie
of the late '80s, early '90s. The Rock, yes. Also, Con Air was another one of my favorites.
Con Air, yeah.
With Nick Cage, or as you call him, Nicholas.
Nick, yeah, not call him Nick, yeah.
But that's the beauty of our show. Again, people, we digress from Michael Jordan to Sean Connery, and Con Air, but. Hey, there might have been Con Air could have fit right into that cocaine Cowboys room.
Wow. Giddy up.
The best also, did you notice the subtle irony there between Jordan saying he didn't drink at that point, but there's a huge glass of scotch next to him.
It was a tall pour.
Throughout the episode, big cigar and a glass of scotch.
I had no problem with that, John. I thought that was
that was an interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Jordan? I was at a Panthers game with you probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, and he came through.
Jordan, who's of course
he's the owner of the Hornets now. Yeah.
And so he comes through the press box. I'm up there on the Pacheco donut, and I turn around. I said, "Holy shit! There's Michael Jordan!" And I still stopped in my tracks.
Yeah.
And we're around athletes all the time.
Yeah.
And he walks in with, guess who? Ahmad Rashad. It was Ahmad Rashad, Michael Jordan, and an unbelievable-looking woman, which happens to be Jordan's wife.
Yeah.
And we all... Do you remember the kind of the hot box?
You broke up on that last part of the question. What was the question?
I was going to say, do you remember how the press box even, media members, people just stopped
right. It was like the commercial, the E.F. Hutton commercial. He starts talking and everybody, just kind of stops and wants to hear. He didn't stop and talk, but it was, it's funny. There have been times in that press box where, the visiting owners or, some guests will come through and nobody really notices or cares. But it was the better, I guess the better, I don't know if analogy is the right term, is if you're at a bar and you hear the record scratch and the music stops and then everybody turns to, that was kind of that effect.
That's what it was like.
Yeah.
It was.
But he, obviously being in North Carolina, he's from North Carolina, obviously, came here as a bull and with the Wizards, and now of course owns the team. There's still he's still considered a native son of the state, North Carolina. So there's obviously that, but I think he would have that impact, John, in any of the 31 other NFL press boxes if he walked through.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and you saw the clip. They were the Beatles when they went to Paris before
Yeah,
the 97, 98 season. And,
they were. I mean, think about the guys he played with in that era. From Dr. J to
right,
Charles Barkley to Magic Johnson to Larry Bird to running the gamut
right,
to NBA legends, guys
right.
like that walk through a stadium or a press box or any public
Yeah,
arena that would stop traffic.
right. Here's the thing about Jordan, because, I mean, he he transcended everything. Like, not only was he a fantastic basketball player, it really changed the game of basketball. He was a game changer in how he played and his not just the athleticism but the competitiveness. And you look at guys like Kobe Bryant and LeBron. They are kind of the tree of Jordan, if you will. But
Yeah.
but there's only one Jordan, and he's always going to be the original, if you will. I mean, I can't even equate it to. I mean, he really is. When you look at the success on the court, the championships, the six championships, but then he transcended into pop culture, and he became a successful businessman, and the Jordan brand, and
Still make printing money.
yeah, and
with Jumpman.
and then able to parlay all that into
The only thing he's failed at, Mike, is being an owner. I mean, his NBA management decisions. He needs a little Jerry Krause in him. I know he doesn't make all the calls, but that team's failed miserably. And I think it's a great basketball city. It's a great opportunity for them to capitalize on, a fertile basketball area.
Yeah.
We saw the Hornets' glory years, and they packed the place with 19,000 a night.
Right.
I was there with you in December, and it was like it was a hush on the crowd because the team stinks.
Right.
So that's the one thing he hasn't been able to figure out.
Right, and they do on the business side of things. I mean, the game presentation is fantastic. We love going to the games, and it is an interesting juxtaposition between how competitive he is, right, and how the team hasn't been able to get over that hump. They had towards the end of the Bobcat reign, they had Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace, and it was a team that was a 6, 7, 8 seed. And they blew that team up because they wanted to try and get in the top 4, if you will, and it just hasn't materialized. It's been like draft picks that haven't worked out. Other personnel decisions. I think it goes to show you just how difficult putting an NBA team together is. Maybe one of the biggest misconceptions I think that fans have is this fantasy culture of, well, I can put together a fantasy football team, I can put together a fantasy basketball.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
try doing it from when the pressure's on. You can do it when you're playing, Bobby Bongiorno in an Arlington league.
Yeah,
and your local Joe Benigno, your mailman. But,
yeah, Joe DeVingo.
Joe DeVingo, not Joe Benigno from WFAN.
Yeah.
But that's all well and good. But it's interesting to me how Jordan has not put that one together yet.
But I think that
maybe he won't.
But I think I think it's difficult. I mean, he did work hard, but he was just so naturally gifted. And I think sometimes it's hard for star athletes to work in personnel. I mean, I think they know what it takes to be successful, but it just that's kind of a trend. And I'm talking to some of the old time broadcasters that we've become friends with, and sometimes it's hard that the star player becomes a successful coach or a successful talent evaluator.
Yeah, and they're all looking to recapture that competitiveness they had on the court or on the field, and it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Real hard. But I thought it was also fascinating where I didn't know that he played golf with Danny Ainge before the famous 63-point game that, oh, by the way, I was at.
Yeah,
Sunday afternoon.
Do we know what golf course it was that they played?
I'm guessing it was probably
the country
Brookline,
club?
Maybe the country club, maybe Wellesley. I know Ainge is a Wellesley resident, longtime Wellesley resident. So I think that was interesting. So much for the fraternization that athletes fraternize too much with each other now. Oh yeah, what about back in '86? Yeah. Ainge played golf with Jordan.
Well, and the lack of social media, right? I mean that nobody. I don't know that anybody really knew that they played golf until that doctor. Maybe Jackie McMullen knew, and some of the beat writers, but I'd never heard that story.
Without any Twitter or Instagram, forget it. No
I didn't know
pictures.
that.
Yeah, no, but he's always been a killer on the golf course, supposedly, taking money from everybody. That's the way he's kind of rechanneled his competitiveness.
He'd have to give you too many strokes.
Oh my God. might give me 30.
Can I get 3 aside? I mean, 3 a hole?
Still beat me.
I'll take 27 aside.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, we'd run out of money after the first hole.
Yeah. No, that's a neighborhood I don't think I'm traveling in.
No, never. Absolutely. I'd like to see what he makes. It's easy enough to find out, but the Google estimates on his earnings now, post basketball. I think last time I checked, it was like over $50 million a year.
Yeah.
Based on his Jumpman, based on the Nike logo, based on royalties, based on everything else, he's still well over 50.
Well, and the team is appreciated too. You know? I mean, if he ever wants to cash out, the team, the way the TV revenues are going up now, I mean, the team's got to, and he got a pretty, not that, he still paid a lot of money for the team, but it wasn't, I think it was like less than $200 million he paid for that, for the Bobcats.
That's a bargain. Where were we, Mikey?
Yeah, we need to chip in.
Could have been in the running.
Yeah.
Put you, me, Tepper, put us all together.
Yeah, I like
again. You and I combined for $200. Tepper, you take the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, Forbes. I think Forbes has the value at. Hold on a minute, I gotta slide this over here.
It's just he had one of the second. I think the first or the second most expensive divorce in history.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond and Jordan were 1-2.
Neil Diamond.
It's legit.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond, your rhinestone cowboy.
One of the all-time great performers, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. $275 million was what it cost for the Bobcats, and Forbes has them estimated at $1.5 billion.
Oof.
So that's good. And no one's ever said anything about him being a businessman, right? I mean, he's done very well for himself.
Very well.
Great with endorsements, great business. Yeah, David Falk.
David Falk has been with him for 30 years, and he's built Falk's empire.
Yeah.
I think he's loyal. I also think he holds grudges. I know he holds grudges. He still has not talked to Sports Illustrated since they put him on the cover in '94, and they butchered him with the headline. He should bag baseball.
Yeah.
He still is, still holding a grudge about that. He holds a grudge towards Charles Barkley because Barkley ripped him on TNT for not being a good owner. So I think he's definitely he has his moments, and Scottie Pippen, they all do for that matter.
Sure.
Scottie Pippen, people. Oh yeah, what happened to Scottie Pippen's money? You know what he's worth? He made over $100 million in his career. He made it up.
Oh yeah, he didn't make up all of it, but he made he did pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he did. His ex-wife, one of his many ex-wives, I think, tweeted today that Scottie did okay, and she tweeted his career earnings.
Yeah. Yeah, it was over $100 million.
Scottie Pippen, a few years ago, I was calling the Celtics Bulls.
Hey, pat yourself on the back, John.
Hey, everybody. I was calling the Celtics Bulls game, and I was courtside with Cedric Maxwell at the United Center. And there we are, as you know, Mike, as you're right on the court, and I turned around, and Scottie Pippen was right over my left shoulder.
Oh.
And I was stunned. I was good to see Scottie Pippen, but stunned by the magnificent female he was with, who Mike Pacheco would have given her a 125 on a 10 scale.
Really?
Oh my goodness!
Well.
And that's when some guy, one of the fans said, "Oh yeah, admiring Pippen's date." I'm like, "Yeah, she's an attractive woman." He's like, "Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. I guess, if the day ends in Y, he's with a new one."
Well,
he's only human.
Yeah,
he's only human. But I think that was quite a. I'd give it a good solid B+, A- for the first 2 episodes. I don't think there's anything else I would have done differently necessarily. I think as they move ahead, it will probably get better with Rodman's drama and probably more on the Krause Jackson, Jordan Pippen drama.
Yeah. And they'll kind of talk about the they'll probably cover Scottie Pippen's change of heart. I mean, obviously they have to because he came back, but they'll address that.
Yes.
That'll be kind of interesting. Yeah, Rodman. God,
Yeah, Rodman's a strange one because he's so bizarre, but
but he's like
he
two
was
different
not that
people. Like,
guy in basketball.
yeah, I mean, they
Right.
said, but like like just one on one, completely different. But you put him in front of a crowd, and he just becomes
He
a
turns
completely
into a
different
different
a different
guy.
persona.
Right. It's like
Yeah,
you walking through the South Park Mall
yeah,
in
yeah,
Charlotte.
something like that. In my tutu.
Did you put that thing away yet? We were wondering what happened to that.
Yeah, I got to break out the nose ring too. I don't know where I put that.
Well, maybe next Life Without Sports we
Yeah,
can check out the Pacheco
yeah,
nose ring.
yeah,
The but watching this, didn't you think about, all right, Jordan is on a different plateau. Even retired 15 years ago, I still feel that way. Jordan, and there's everybody else. You can go Brady, you can go Montana, you can go Magic Johnson, you can go Bird, you can go LeBron James, Mike Trout. Baseball really didn't have anybody. Ken Griffey.
yeah.
Guys who have had iconic rises, but they haven't really sustained it. Jordan's been sustainable.
Yeah, and I think what separates Jordan too is is he the last great superstar, the last great icon? And what I mean by that, in the mold of in the old days of before television and early days of radio, maybe Babe Ruth was that kind of character for people in the early 20th century. To me,
Yeah, I heard Michael Wilbon say that it was Jordan, Ruth, and Muhammad Ali.
yeah, yeah, and just transcendental figures, and I think it's something that I don't think you can aspire to or manipulate. Like I bet deep down, and this is not a criticism by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's where LeBron wants to be. Like I think he wants to be that kind of that,
Yeah.
but it just happens. Like you can't really. I mean, he's been very successful, and he's very kind of a renaissance man in his own right, and trying to do different things.
Yeah, now with Braun Pictures,
yeah.
he's the producer that he's producing a lot of movies
Yeah.
now. I think Kobe Bryant copied Michael Jordan down to a T, to the way he spoke, to the way he conducted interviews, to the way he held himself.
Yeah.
But Bryant, for some reason, never crossed over, even though people knew he was such a great player and a transcendent talent. He never got to that iconic mountaintop.
No, and now certainly, the difference with Kobe, I think, was a little bit different from LeBron. Is that I think, the outpouring you saw when he died, just what he meant to a lot of people of like kind of millennials and people of his kind of generation. But I think the fact that he essentially was a Laker for life, and being in LA, he's obviously had the impact in LA, but that, I don't think it has the same impact of what Jordan has done. I mean, I just from kind of what we said, I don't think so. Maybe someone 15 years younger would feel differently about it. I agree with you. I think it's Jordan. Jordan's kind of the mountaintop, and like you said, I think Ali was a great example of that. I mean, Ali was just such a commanding figure, and it's not just the athleticism, John. It's the personality too.
Right. It's funny with Ali. Ali was obviously, by all accounts, the best fighter of all time, but he also lost. Like I just watched did you ever see the Ken Norton documentary?
I did not see that.
He basically lost to Ken Norton at Yankee Stadium, and the title is Robbed. ESPN 30 for 30 short. You should watch it if you get a chance.
Yeah.
And the night at Yankee Stadium, people were on the streets robbing people because it was 1977. New York was a mess.
Yeah.
It was literally like mayhem everywhere. The Bronx is burning. There were no cops.
Yeah.
If there were cops, they weren't doing anything. People were literally getting robbed. Like Charlton Heston was getting robbed. Telly Savalas got robbed. Like you name the celebrity, they got robbed. And police didn't care.
And you're talking about like an Oscar robbing, not getting an Oscar. You mean like physically getting robbed on the street?
Lifting wallets and whatever they had on.
Yeah.
But that night, Norton beat Ali.
Yeah.
But Ali won based on the judges' cards. Right. Ali got it.
Right.
But when I watched that, I'm like, man, Ali. I look at Jordan as almost invincible, as being the best by far ever. I think Ali, there might still be some interpretation there. Was
Yeah,
he the best ever? Probably.
probably. Yeah,
But there's a debate. To me, I look at Jordan, I see no debate.
yeah. No, and these other guys are great players. Like there's, and in their own rights, right? I mean, Kobe, 5 rings, terrific career. LeBron. The one thing that I think is interesting for LeBron, and it's not his fault, but it just, I mean, obviously there's Cavalier fans that love him, Heat fans that love him, now Lakers fans love him. At least with Kobe and with Michael, and maybe this is just kind of an old-fashioned or just an older sense. It's just the ability for those two to have the ability to stay with. In Jordan's case, most of his career was with the substantial part of his career was with the Bulls. And same thing with Kobe. It's interesting, and it's not a knock on LeBron. I mean, the fact that he's been able to win in different places is pretty spectacular too.
No, LeBron's close. I think LeBron's a different type of player. LeBron's, to me, much more. He's kind of more of a power forward type in a guard's
Right.
guard's mentality.
Yeah.
I looked at Jordan as very sleek. I looked at Jordan as this guy can. If there's anyone can fly, it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
If there's anyone who could leap through to the top of a building, it's Michael Jordan.
Well, and he had this ability too, John, where it's like he'd get to the height of where he was jumping, and he'd just like hang on to it for like a extra fraction of a second. You know what I mean? Like it was, it's like he was.
So many amazing moves, artistry.
I love that line from Larry Bird. It's like that was God tonight, just playing as Michael Jordan.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was classic Birdian line.
Yeah.
And that game was one of the top 5 games I've ever been to live.
That's crazy.
13 years
and the fact
old.
I had forgotten it was a double overtime game, but I remember watching that at, in the kitchen in Arlington, had the TV going.
You couldn't turn it off.
No.
I mean, I remember looking at my friend Sean Becker. Hello, Sean from Houston, and he brought me. His dad had seats 5 rows behind the opponent's bench. I just remember saying to him, we were 13, 14 years old, saying, Sean, we'll always remember this game.
Absolutely.
And it was one of those deals like, they needed that Paris shot right at the end.
Oh,
the Celtics had nothing left.
Right.
They were all gasping for real. The only one who had anything left was Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan and Bird both had chances earlier in the game to get the lead, and then Parrish finally hits that shot. I mean,
it was.
You talk about what ifs. What if the Bulls,
crazy?
What if the Bulls win that game? I mean, they still.
What if the Bulls don't take Jordan at 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what if Portland had taken Jordan instead of Sam?
Right. Right.
I'm on the IR again, buoy.
One of the best decisions Rod Thorne ever made.
Oh, easy. And he was right about Olajuwon. You talk to every GM in the league, they would have taken Olajuwon number 1.
Yeah.
And that was proven to be a hell of a pick because he's a Hall of Famer and he was tremendous. And he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Back then, big men.
Back then, the center was an important part of the NBA, team dynamic.
And he already had Ralph Sampson.
Right.
So think about that dynamic too. Right. So, but the Portland, God.
Yeah.
Oh, what could have been if you're a Portland Trailblazers fan?
Yeah, that's a what if.
Oh, it's the ultimate what if. The ultimate, and the ultimate what if is what if the Patriots never changed their uniforms?
Yeah. First time in 20 years, right?
You know what? I was expecting a little something more today when they revealed them. I'm a uniform guy. I love uniforms. I love the throwback look. I was hoping to bring back the throwback uniform. I think they should still do that.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's the color rush with maybe an update or two.
Yeah, and I wasn't crazy about the white uniforms, the shoulder, like the ribbons on the shoulders.
Right.
It looked a little funny to me. I think they would have been better off, maybe putting the Patriot logo there and doing numbers on the side or something like that. But no one consulted me, John. But that's probably what I don't hate the blue jerseys. The blue pants.
I like the blue better. Actually.
The blue pants are a little. Yeah, actually, I didn't mind the blue home jersey, but the blue pants I thought were a little. I don't know.
Is Alexander Julian still in Charlotte?
I don't know if he is. I know he did design the Hornets uniforms.
He was famous for.
Yeah.
I remember saying.
He's a Carolina grad too, I think, right?
Exactly. I remember thinking, who the hell is Alexander Julian? This is before I was,
Yeah.
sartorial splendor.
Yeah.
And that was Mr. Milton's.
Yeah.
I had no idea who Alexander Julian was, but he designed the Hornets. He designed the Tar Heels jerseys. I think he's done a lot with Jordan too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because uniforms are such an important piece of the puzzle, right? Because from a business standpoint now, you almost have to change them every couple of years now to get that extra revenue, get the merchandise sales. The big thing in minor league baseball is everybody's going to like a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth uniform, and it's not so much rotational as it, unless you're the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, and they have the Bacon USA jerseys.
I like that. Oh boy!
But the trend in minor league baseball has been with specialty uniforms. So like one year the Charlotte Knights were the Charlotte Pitmasters for a game.
Yep, so I remember that, and I got the hat.
Yeah, and you might actually were you there for that? I don't know if you were there for that or not. But and now teams are going nuts with that, right? So it's and some of it's good. Like sometimes like the Knights do we call it Pink Nights. We've been doing it for like 14 or 15 years now, where they do a specially designed jersey, and then the jerseys are auctioned off, and the money goes to fight against breast cancer. Charlotte Radiology is our partner on that.
Yeah, that's obviously a tremendously worthwhile cause.
Yeah,
and it's good that they're doing that.
Yeah.
But now, Mikey, one of your jobs as we move up to another overhyped event, but thank goodness at least televised, the NFL Draft.
Yeah.
On April 23rd, which both ESPN and NFL Network combining in a broadcast first.
Yeah.
Both networks producing it and using their talents together,
yeah.
crossover talents. Both producers have said it's going to be the most amazing and unbelievably hard undertaking they've ever had.
Yes. Well, and they did not so much the broadcast side, but the NFL has done a mock draft today, and it was interesting because word kind of leaked out that there were some glitches, and I think some people were maybe taking it the wrong way, like, oh, this is a disaster. I said, maybe, but this is exactly why you do something like this, 3 days before the draft. You go through it a couple of times, and I guess they figured out bandwidth was the issue for this technology. So,
if you and I can pull off Life Without Sports, we can pull off 3-day draft.
Especially, if they had our budget. But I think this is a kind of a non-story story, if you will. I mean, I think it's maybe a bit of an issue if it happens Thursday night, but if they have to pause the draft for 5 minutes to figure something out, or get somebody's dial-up internet working, I don't think that's the end of the world.
Yeah, is the squirrel working overtime?
Yeah. The squirrel that runs the WFNZ transmitter, is he working overtime to get the NFL draft going?
Yeah, get the gerbil going.
Yeah.
Crank up. They sent each player a video kits to make sure that they had everything, technically that they needed. Right. 58 guys are going to be involved, 58 draft prospects, and each of those draft prospects might sent every NFL team a hat.
Really?
Just in case they're drafted by that team. So,
wow.
So at the very least, each guy will get 31 hats.
Yeah.
They can 31 extra hats that they might not ever wear, but they'll give as Christmas presents.
Hey, here you go. Thanks for helping me out. Oh, you're a Patriots fan. Here you go.
Hey.
Oh, you like the Packers? Here you go.
You like the Minnesota Vikings? Do I have the gift for you?
Actually, I bet some enterprising person will probably do like a display case or something.
That would be I can see that in Pacheco's office.
Yeah. Right with the bobbleheads.
Moxie sign.
Yeah, the Moxie sign. You love the Moxie sign.
I love the Moxie sign. Love it. I mean, to you, it's a unique item. I look for unique.
Yeah, you do.
That is unique, and it's a good thing, folks. That I don't know if you can see this. Take camera 2, but I have Vineyard Vines going today, and Mike's got the Vineyard Vines going today.
And we didn't. And I got the long sleeve T-shirt too.
Oh, see now. You put me to shame.
I double vined you.
I just have Indiana baseball into mine.
Oh,
that's shameless.
Nice. That is shameless.
Shameless ESPN.
This is the basketball.
Indiana baseball trip.
The basketball well. Here, let me do this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, let me do the. No, that's not the one I want.
Thing about Vineyard Vines is you can go in there, and we both love Vineyard Vines, but you can walk out feeling like, okay, I might have to work an extra couple hours this week.
Yeah. Don't touch me. Don't get that on my shirt.
Right. The last thing you want to do.
So
I
this,
like Jordan. Has Jordan ever had that thought since maybe his junior year at North Carolina when he
hold
had
on.
$20 in his account?
So you don't know this, and this is probably a horrible story to tell, but I think it's funny. So I got this last year, so not this past season, but the season before, and was wearing it for like, I don't know, a couple months. And I brought it to Dave and I did a game at Vanderbilt. Winthrop was playing at Vanderbilt, and the team drove on that trip. And so when the team buses, we just drive, and that's how we do our Bearded Carcast, and we put it out, and we do our social media and all that stuff. So I think we had like a early wake up call because we wanted to get home the next morning. So we pack up, throw everything in the car, we're driving home, and I get home, and the next day I'm looking for this very vest, and I was like, I can't find it, and I was like, oh, I didn't leave it, and I hope I didn't leave it in Nashville. So I called Dave, and I'm like, hey, do you have like a blue vest in your car? He's like, yeah, I'll check. I'll let you know in a couple days. So we had a game a couple days later, and I'm like, hey, did you ever find that vest? He's like, no, didn't see it. I'm like, oh, all right. So then this was we were going to, I think, Farmville, Virginia, Longwood University. So this is now fast forward a year and a couple of months, and it's February. And I pick him up at his house because Dave lives in Charlotte. I live in Charlotte, but I'm in South Charlotte. He lives actually in the Uptown area. So it was easier. We were going north. It was just easier for me to come get him. So I go pick him up. Again, it's a Saturday morning. We have like a 2 o'clock game. It's 7 in the morning. And he goes, hey, is this vest yours? I found it in my car. I was like, well, you didn't look so hard the first time.
Yeah, gee, you've only had it for a year.
Yeah. So I feel like...
Now, see, look, this is Friedman's way of saying I got some good wear out of that.
Yeah, he wore it for a year, and then I think he put a hole in it, too. There's like a hole right here. I don't know if you can't really see the hole.
Well, he probably, he's been smoking a lot lately, so he probably burned a hole through it.
Yeah, no, I think it was an apple core. Apple core burned through it. Well,
that's a violation. Yeah. That's a violation, especially when it comes to vineyard vines.
But I couldn't tell you because it's comfortable. It's a good color. I like it. This is a great southern piece. It's a
good wearable. We call it wearable.
It's a good wearable, especially here because you can wear like today. It's low 60s, so it's not cold, but it's still chill. So I got the long sleeve tee. I was so excited that this was that it had risen from the dead. That it was back in circulation.
It has risen.
It has risen.
many more Life Without Sports.
Yeah, it has risen from the depths of Dave Friedman's trunk.
Yeah, Friedman's gone through a few casinos with that thing on.
A few horse races.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
I'm not mad at him.
At least he gave it back to you.
Well, it's like Buzz Peterson was telling stories today. Michael Jordan's roommate, who is now an assistant general manager with the Hornets, and he had been he was a head coach at App State, Tennessee, UMC Wilmington. Yep. But he tells a story of freshman year that he bought these like Bally's shoes, dress shoes, his freshman year, and he went home for one weekend, and Michael Jordan wore them, and I guess they both are size 13, but Jordan has a wide foot, Buzz has a narrow foot, so he said it got to the point where he had to wear like dress socks, tube socks, and like one other sock just to fit his shoe because he stretched out the leather in these shoes.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I mean that's the Jordan stories. I'm sure someone said they wish they could have 50 episodes of this. People would devour. I think it was Scott Van Pelt when he interviewed Steve Kerr last night on SportsCenter. And he's right. I think if they want to do 50 episodes, I'd watch anything after watching the O.J. Made in America documentary. Yeah. I'd watch anything that Ezra Edelman directed and produced. Yeah. More produced, but to me the guy is a genius. I think anyone that can put together a documentary like this. And interesting, Mike, today Jim Nantz was on a call with a bunch of aspiring sportscasters. It was one of these Sportscasters of America that did a Zoom session. Yeah. And Nantz told the students and the aspiring sportscasters, one thing that you always have to remember as a play-by-play broadcaster, you are a storyteller. Yeah. And especially on TV. And I kind of said another pat on the back. That's how I think of what we do.
Right.
That's how I think of, which is why this is such a
Right.
good topic,
But
because there's a huge story.
right. But I think what separates this documentary maybe from most is the level of participation from Jordan. I mean, I think it would still.
He only gave him 3 interviews.
I know, but the fact that I mean, this would be a captivating event anyway, with the archival material and all the people they've talked to, it would still be good. But the fact that he is involved, he's been, he's a pretty guarded guy. I mean, you don't really. He is very rare. I mean, very exclusive, elusive when it comes to granting interviews. I mean, you never see him doing any kind.
Does anyone get him in Charlotte?
No. He does a rare, like, I couldn't even tell you the last time somebody locally got him for an interview. It is extremely rare that he will do an interview.
Well, that's weird. You'd think he'd at least be on, maybe a sports radio station once or twice.
No.
Like most of them do.
I mean, I think Jim Zoki at BT maybe has talked to him, but I don't know if he's ever been on 610 WFNZ. I don't know if he's ever been on there. Maybe once. I mean, it's...
Wow.
Yeah.
He's elusive.
Yeah.
But, that's what makes him a fascinating character, I think. And also coming up, we're going to see the last televised interview with Kobe Bryant. He spoke to the producers the week before he died.
Wow.
And I think it's going to be fascinating to see him, and it's supposed to be very emotional in terms of, what he thinks of Jordan, which we know.
Yeah.
It was always, that was,
Well,
Kobe's guy.
There's a generation of stars in the NBA that have, modeled, if they haven't modeled their careers after him, they certainly were influenced by Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it's guys are tweeting like Donovan Mitchell, even all the young stars that never just have seen him on YouTube.
Right.
Those guys, for them to appreciate the magnitude of who he was.
But I think I'm probably misattributing. I don't know if this was Steve Kerr who said this, or I saw something in the reaction to the. I mean, you can look at Michael Jordan all you want on film, but his essence, his competitiveness, his drive, his desire to whip your rear end. You can see it, but it doesn't come through on a YouTube video. The presence of the man.
No, it came through when you were sitting there. It came through when you were watching in person at the Chicago Stadium or United Center or the Boston Garden. That's why it was so gritty.
Did you ever do anything at the old Chicago Stadium?
No, all I remember as a kid though, watching the Bruins and Blackhawks games and hearing the horn after every goal, thinking it was the loudest thing I've ever heard. Dennis Savard scores for the Blackhawks.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had a great anthem singer too. That everybody used to always talk about.
It was funny because I was my last the last year of the Garden. I was still at it was HTH / American Radio Sports, WEI, that whole WHTH era. But we got the rights to the Bruins in their strike year, so we got they went to a 50-game schedule. So I worked with Dale Arnold and Johnny Busick. So that was kind of cool, and I had done some stuff helping out with the Celtics broadcast, just kind of very hit or miss. But for a kid from Arlington, I mean, I'd been to the Garden. I'd seen some Celtics games, a couple of Bruins games. Arlington High played in. I think my senior year we played in the Garden. Our team did. I didn't play hockey, but
Weston beat Arlington Catholic in basketball. I know you're not a Catholic guy, but
yeah, I am. Well, I am Catholic. I just didn't go to Arlington Catholic.
Well, I know I know you're Catholic, but you're not an AC guy, as they say.
And I think I told you this. I saw Pat Connaughton, the pride of Arlington, when Notre Dame joined the ACC on the basketball side. He came to the basketball media day, and I remember going up and talking to him because he went to St. Agnes in Arlington before he went to St. John's, and he missed my mother by a year. She taught third grade, but she retired when he was in second grade.
Oh, she could have had Connaughton.
Yeah,
she could have had the guy that never should have gotten away from BC.
Yeah,
man, that was always a head scratcher.
Yeah.
They didn't want him to play baseball. He wanted to play baseball, and he said, I'll go to Notre Dame.
Yeah,
they're gonna let me play baseball.
Yeah,
okay.
But the Garden, the old Boston Garden, I did. My friend Gary Wing and I, we this was in the day where they just gave you passes, didn't know pictures, no names. It just said, the station, WHH radio. So Gary and I went to, I think it was on a Sunday, and McHale and the Celtics played Michael Jordan. This probably would have been like 1992. And it might have been the last time McHale played the Bulls, if I remember. I forget this. I think that might have been the significance of this game, but it was just kind of cool. And then after the game, we're in the tunnel, and we could look out, and Kevin McHale was being interviewed after the game by Bob Costas. And I don't think Costas came up to his belly button.
That's the one thing that I had totally forgotten. The Costas called the year of the Bulls.
Yeah.
On WGN.
Oh, yeah.
I said, wait a minute. Bob Costas, WGN? I was like, what?
Right.
But, 79, 80 when the Bulls were horrendous.
Right.
In the days of Reggie Theus and Quentin Daly.
But I think what's interesting...
And rigor artist Gilmore.
Yeah. But I think what's interesting is, the Garden was kind of like the equivalent of, to some extent, if it had stayed in operation, to Fenway Park. You go to these new modern arenas, and you have these like wide concourses, and you can fit comfortably in your seat. But the Garden, it was like built for people in the early 1900s.
You're only comfortable if you're sitting like next, maybe if you're next to Muggsy Bogues or Jason Wolf, or
your feet would stick to the floor from all the old beer.
Yeah, it would be extremely hard to get through 3 periods or four quarters of basketball.
Yeah.
But I guess we sound kind of old in saying it, but the fact that we grew up in that era, watching great '80s basketball in the '80s, just did not. It was Bird and Magic that really kicked it all off. There's no doubt about it.
Well, but I think what's interesting about
kicked it off.
But the '80s was kind of like it was like the appetizer for what was going to come in the 2000s, right? Because you had that one year where the everybody made it to the finals, right? Now, not everybody won, but like everybody was either the Super Bowl year in '85. Granted that was kind of a disaster. The next year, the Red Sox '86, the Celtics won in '86, and was it '86 or '87? The Bruins were in the Stanley Cup. I mean, it was there's that kind of the stretch in the '80s where Boston teams didn't win.
Bruins went in '88.
88,
the Oilers.
It was '88. Oilers, yeah. And the
That's all like Gretzky too. Like
the game got
Gretzky,
fogged out.
Think about icons, exactly. Gretzky, Jordan.
Yeah.
Gretzky has that iconic status in Canada. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But here, not so much.
Right.
Didn't quite, even when he went to LA, it didn't. It was a huge story.
No, but hockey also doesn't have that. Especially at that time, like people in the South knew who Wayne Gretzky was, maybe, but hockey as a whole is really like a 3/4, maybe half the country, and then Canada. Of course, it's the national sport of Canada.
Right.
I think for Canadians, they would probably say that Gretzky was maybe for them in that status, or at least close to that status.
Oh, I think Gretzky definitely was.
Yeah, Janet Jones too.
Oof, yeah. Have a hunch, bet a bunch. Janet Jones. I think she had that little gambling Jones. No pun intended. Oh yeah. Remember there was an incident a couple years ago with her and Rick Tocchet.
Yeah.
Getting in, just like you, Pacheco, playing some craps.
Yeah. No.
Betting the horses. Every day.
No, that's Friedman.
Freeman must be.
He's the gambler.
I think he's yearning for a race in Ireland right now.
Wow.
Any sort of live.
Yeah, I think he's getting the live sports book from Dubai. I think, or
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But I think the good news for us this week too, Mikey. There's always good news.
Always good news.
And by the way, if you like the show, or even if you don't like it, please press the subscribe button.
Like it, subscribe. Yeah.
Subscribe on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. And a special guest this
week,
that. Right? We're going to go out to our West Coast.
I think we're going to have a few special guests.
Good. Yeah.
One coming up, we hope on Wednesday.
We're looking at Wednesday, yeah.
Be from our West Coast office.
Yeah.
AKA Hollywood.
Yeah.
A major player in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So that's a good tease for you.
That's a great tease.
And I think you might have some, we give you our share of yucks, but this guy will really
He'll make it laugh,
the yucks.
Yeah.
Yes, and so that's something to look forward to, Mike. Is
Yeah.
make sure to wear your finest vineyard vines.
That's right. That's right. I'll have to put my best Hollywood clothes on. Might have to break out the mauve tuxedo I wore at the prom, my senior
Oh
prom.
boy, rumor has it you look like the Dumb and Dumber scene.
No, no, no. I was like the second coming of Don Johnson at that thing. No, actually, no. I'm sorry. That was the junior prom. My senior prom, my senior prom, I was like 007. I had the white jacket, black tie, black pants.
Shake it, not
Yeah,
stir.
yeah. Sophomore, yeah. My junior year was the mauve. That was the Miami Vice.
The mauve.
Yeah.
What were you going as? Was it Michael Thomas
No,
or Don
I was
Johnson?
matching. I was matching the dress of my date. She was Rhonda Siggins was
Oh, look
wearing
at
like
you.
a mauve.
What was her name?
Rhonda Siggins.
Where is Rhonda Siggins now?
I don't know. I think she's back in. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you could put your investigative tools to work
I
on
could.
that one.
Yeah.
There might be a Google in your future.
No.
Not that you haven't Googled it before. Come on.
No, we have friends on Facebook. I guess I could find out pretty easily. I think she's back in Massachusetts.
Well, no one ever leaves.
Yeah.
Except for you.
Except for me. I'm the one who got away.
Once you're in Arlington, you stay in Arlington.
Yeah. Well, the Arlington never leaves you. You can leave Arlington, but Arlington doesn't leave you.
No.
The mean streets of A-Town.
The mean streets, yes. Much like the mean streets of Weston.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But Mikey Pacheco, always a pleasure on a Monday. Enjoy the beautiful weather in Charlotte.
Yeah, I will.
And until tomorrow, everybody on Life Without Sports, he's Pacheco. I'm Metaparsel. Have a great day and night, everybody.
So long,
Stay
everybody.
healthy.